I've never told this story publicly before, not to the news, not to my friends, not even to my therapist, because no one would believe me. Hell, I wouldn't believe me either if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. But this happened, and it almost killed me. I live in a small town in northern Montana, population just under 2,000, the kind of place where people still leave their doors unlocked and the local diner doubles as a gossip hub. We've got one main road, one gas station, and a sheriff who's more used to chasing drunk teenagers than dealing with whatever the hell this was. I worked as a mechanic back then. I used to stay late at the shop after closing just to finish up cars and keep some extra cash rolling in. My girlfriend, Emily, would always text me, "Don't stay too late, babe. You know the woods get weird at night." I used to laugh it off until that night. It was late October, cold, windy, the kind of night when the wind whistles through every crack in the windows. I was finishing up a job for an old truck when I heard something outside the garage. A low, wet thud, then another. I turned off the music. The whole place went dead quiet, except for the hum of the lights. Then, a sound I'll never forget. A howl, but not like a coyote or a wolf. It was deeper, rougher. It sounded almost human, like someone screaming and growling at the same time. At first I thought maybe a mountain lion got too close to town, but as I stepped outside, I noticed the air had gone still. Not even the wind moved. The streetlights flickered. That's when I saw it, at the edge of the parking lot, near the dumpster. Something crouched low, its back hunched, shoulders rising and falling with heavy breaths. At first I thought it was a big dog, maybe a bear, until it stood up. I froze. It towered over 6 feet, maybe more. Long limbs, thick chest, and fur that looked black under the yellow streetlight. Its eyes glowed like amber glass, reflecting the light back at me. And its face, God, its face, it looked wrong, like a man's skull stretched into his snout. Teeth too long, too human. It looked right at me, and it smiled. Not like an animal bares its teeth. This was a deliberate, sick grin. My first instinct was to back away slowly, but before I could move, it let out this guttural snarl and dropped to all fours. I didn't think, I just ran. I sprinted back into the shop, slammed the metal door shut, and locked it. For a second, I thought I was safe, until the thing hit the door so hard it rattled the hinges. The sound of claws scraping metal filled the air, sharp and furious. It was trying to tear through. The lights flickered again, tools shook on the walls. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I grabbed the shotgun we kept in the back for raccoons, a rusty old 12 gauge, and pointed it at the door. Then, silence. For about 10 seconds, everything was dead quiet. Then came the breathing, right outside, deep, slow, deliberate, like it knew I was listening. And then a voice that sounded like it came from a throat full of broken glass. It said my name. Ethan. I nearly dropped the gun. It knew my name. It was the last thing I heard before the door exploded inward. The door didn't just break, it exploded. The metal frame twisted inward with a sound like thunder, and a blast of cold air swept through the shop. Tools crashed to the floor, glass shattered, and there it was, that thing, crawling in through the wreckage. Its claws scraped the concrete as it pulled itself inside, shoulders brushing the sides of the doorframe. Up close, it looked worse. The fur wasn't smooth, it was patchy, coarse, matted with something dark. Its muscles flexed under the skin like ropes. Every breath came out in a growl that rattled my chest. I raised the shotgun. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely aim. "Stay back!" I yelled, but my voice broke halfway through. It tilted its head like it understood me. Then it took one slow step forward. I fired. The blast echoed so loud my ears went numb. The shot hit it square in the shoulder, throwing it sideways into a tool rack. For a moment I thought it was over, until it stood back up. Blood poured down its arm, thick and dark, but it didn't slow. It looked down at the wound, then back at me, eyes burning like molten gold. And then it laughed. Not a human laugh, more like a snarl that twisted into something mocking. I fired again and again. Each shot hit, but the creature just kept coming, faster each time, until it slammed into me and sent me crashing into the concrete floor. The gun flew out of my hand. The weight of it, Jesus, it felt like a truck truck landed on me. It pinned my chest, one clawed hand pressing down so hard I could barely breathe. Its breath was hot, rancid like copper and rotting meat. It lowered its face to mine close enough that I could see the saliva dripping from its fangs, and then it spoke again. "Why run?" The voice came out in a wet growl, broken but clear enough to understand. I couldn't answer. I just grabbed a wrench from the floor and swung it as hard as I could. It hit the side of its head with a sickening crack, and the creature howled, loud enough to shake the walls. That gave me the second I needed. I scrambled free, gasping, and dove toward the truck lift at the back of the shop. I hit the button, raising it halfway up before the system jammed, then slid under it, crawling toward the back door. Behind me, I could hear it moving, heavy, limping footsteps, the sound of claws dragging along the floor. It wasn't rushing anymore. It was playing with me. I could see the red exit sign ahead just glowing through the haze. I was maybe 10 feet away when it slammed into the lift, bending the steel supports like they were tin. It reached under, claws swiping inches from my legs. One caught my boot and tore half of it off. I kicked back, panic taking over, until I finally rolled out the other side and ran for the door. The back lot was pitch dark. My truck was maybe 50 yards away. I ran faster than I ever have in my life. Behind me, I could hear it running too. Not on 2 legs anymore, 4. Its claws hit the ground in rhythm. Thud, 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 thud. Closer. I didn't dare look back. I hit the truck, yanked the door open, and slammed it shut just as it hit the side of the vehicle. The impact rocked the whole frame. The window cracked. I jammed the keys into the ignition, praying it would start. The engine coughed once, twice, and then roared to life. The creature jumped onto the hood, snarling, its hands slamming against the glass. Deep cracks spread from each hit. I floored it. The truck shot forward, tires screeching, engines screaming. The werewolf slid halfway off, then slammed one claw into the hood to hold on. Its eyes locked on mine through the windshield, wild and furious. I swerved, cutting hard left. The creature lost its grip, tumbled off into the dirt, and rolled out of sight. I didn't stop driving, not until I saw the lights of the next town an hour later. When I finally pulled into a gas station, I stepped out shaking. My shirt was torn, my arm was bleeding from where one of its claws grazed me. The guy behind the counter stared at me like I'd been in a car crash. I told him someone, or something, attacked me out by the shop. He called the sheriff. When the police arrived, I told them everything, every detail. They searched the area the next morning. They found the door torn off its hinges. They found blood, lots of it, on the concrete floor in the parking lot. But no tracks, no fur, no body. The sheriff just shook his head and said, "Must have been a bear, a bear." I didn't argue. I just nodded and let them think whatever they wanted to, because deep down, I knew what I saw, and whatever it wasn't a damn bear. I didn't sleep for 2 days after it happened. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those amber eyes staring back at me. I'd wake up sweating, my chest tight, convinced that if I looked out the window, I'd see it standing there under the streetlight, but it never came back. At least, not right away. The police filed a report, but after they found nothing, the whole thing got swept under the rug. "Maybe you were tired," the sheriff said. "Maybe it was dark, you saw an animal, your mind filled in the blanks." Sure. Except the claw marks on my truck's hood didn't look like any bear I'd ever seen. A few people in town whispered about it. Small town gossip spreads faster than fire. I heard someone at the diner say, "Ethan claims he shot a werewolf." Another guy laughed and said, "Next thing he'll say vampires live up on the ridge." I stopped going out much after that. I quit the night shifts, started drinking more. Emily left a few months later. She said I wasn't the same person anymore. She was right, because I wasn't. I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't over, like something was still out there, watching, waiting. And then, 6 months later, I got proof. It was around midnight. I was sitting in my living room, half asleep in front of the TV, when my dog, a big German shepherd named Rex, started growling at the window. Not barking, growling low and steady, like he smelled something wrong. I turned down the volume. That's when I heard it, a howl, distant but familiar, that same deep broken sound that crawled under your skin. Rex started pacing, ears up, tail down. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside. The air was cold, moonlight stretching across the fields behind my house. The night was too quiet. I called out softly, "Who's there?" No answer, but the air felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Then I saw movement, something shifting near the tree line about 50 yards out. Two glowing eyes stared back at me. I froze. My body knew before my brain did. It was him. Same size, same movement, same burning stare. Rex started barking furiously. I shouted at him to get inside, but before I could move, the creature took a step forward, just one, and I saw the moonlight hit its face. There was no mistake. The shoulder wound was still there, partially healed, but the scar was real. That's when it hit me. It remembered me. I backed toward the house, never taking my eyes off it. My hands were shaking again, just like that night. Then the thing crouched, muscles coiling like it was ready to leap. I turned and sprinted inside, slamming the door shut and locking it. Rex was barking his lungs out, pacing at the window. Then silence again. I stood there, waiting, listening, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. And then came a single sound, soft, slow, deliberate, tap, tap, tap. Something was walking along my porch. I looked through the peephole, nothing. Just darkness. Then a shadow passed across it, and a voice, that same broken, rasping growl. "Ethan," it said my name again. That's when I fired the gun through the door. The blast echoed through the house. My ears rang for a full minute. When I finally opened the door, the porch was empty, except for 3 long claw marks carved deep into the wood. The police came again the next morning. They told me it was probably a prank, that maybe someone from town was messing with me. I told them they didn't understand. I told them it wasn't human. They just looked at each other and nodded slowly, the way people do when they don't believe a word you're saying. After that, I installed cameras all around my property. Motion lights, alarms, the works. But the thing is, it never showed up on camera. I still hear it sometimes though. The scratching, the breathing, always when the moon is full. Sometimes I'll wake up and find the back door unlocked, even though I swear I bolted it. And a few weeks ago, I found footprints in the mud behind my shed. Too large for any person, too long to be human. Rex won't go near that side of the yard anymore. He just sits by the window at night, staring out into the dark, ears twitching. I don't sleep much now. The police stopped taking my calls. My friends stopped visiting. And honestly, I can't blame them. Because even I've started to wonder if I'm losing my mind. But then I'll hear it again. That howl. That slow, dragging breath. And I know I'm not crazy because I survived that night and it's still out there, waiting. It's been almost a year since the attack. I've moved twice since then, once to the next county and then farther north, closer to the mountains, somewhere quiet, somewhere where people don't ask too many questions. But the quiet doesn't help because silence is when I hear it the most. The house I'm in now sits at the end of an old dirt road, surrounded by pine trees. No neighbors, no traffic. I thought isolation would make me feel safe. Instead, it feels like I've built my own cage. The cameras still record nothing. The motion lights flicker some nights, but by the time I check, there's never anything there, except for one time. Last month, I woke up to the alarm beeping. One of the motion sensors had gone off near the barn. I pulled up the live feed on my phone, and the screen was black. No image, no static, just darkness. Then, for half a second, a shape moved across the frame. Tall, broad, walking upright, and then the feed cut out. That's when I knew it had found me again. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room with the shotgun across my lap, staring at the front door until sunrise. Every creak in the wood made my stomach twist. Every shadow felt like it was breathing. When morning came, I checked the yard. Nothing, but on the barn door, 3 long, fresh claw marks. I don't remember going back inside. I just remember sitting there, staring at them, realizing that no matter where I go, it's always going to find me. That night, I made a decision. If it came again, I wouldn't run. I'd end it. The next full moon came 2 nights later. The sky was clear, the air sharp and cold. I turned off every light in the house and waited by the window. The clock ticked past midnight. The forest outside was still. Not a sound, not even crickets. Then the wind shifted, and I smelled it, that same metallic animal stench, like blood and wet fur. I aimed the shotgun at the door. My hands weren't shaking this time. I wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Just tired. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the front doorknob turned, slowly. Click, click. It stopped halfway, and that's when I heard the voice again. Ethan. This time it was clearer, deeper, almost human. I fired through the door. The blast shook the room. I reloaded and fired again. Silence. I waited, listening. The smell of gunpowder hung thick in the air. Then, faintly, I heard breathing. Slow, wet, ragged. And then laughter. Not loud, not manic, just a low, broken chuckle that froze every muscle in my body. I backed away, reloading, keeping my eyes on the door, and then something slid under it, a shadow moving along the light on the floorboards. It wasn't leaving, it was inside. I turned toward the hallway and saw it standing at the end. The moonlight coming through the window lit up its face, the same eyes, the same twisted grin, but this time it wasn't fully changed. Its features were shifting, half human, half beast, and it was wearing clothes, my clothes. The shirt I'd lost the night of the first attack, torn, bloody, but unmistakable. It took one step forward and whispered again, "Ethan." I fired once more, the sound deafening. The figure dropped to the ground, twitching, claws scraping against the floor. I ran toward it, pumping another shell into the gun. But when I got close, it wasn't there. The floor was empty. No blood, no body, just the open door at the end of the hall, swinging gently in the wind. That was 3 days ago. The police came. They searched again, same story. No prints, no tracks, no sign of forced entry. They said maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was trauma. Maybe I shot at shadows. I wish they were right, because last night I checked my security footage again. Every camera was fine, except one, the one facing my front porch. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the screen flickers, and for less than a second, there's a face staring into the lens. Not the creature, mine, except my eyes were glowing. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't sleep anymore. Sometimes when I look at my hands in the mirror, they don't look right. The nails are darker, thicker. My hearing's sharper. I can smell things from a mile away. And last night I woke up in the woods behind my house, covered in mud and blood I couldn't explain. I keep telling myself it's stress, hallucinations, PTSD, but deep down, I know whatever bit me that night didn't just let me live, it changed me. And now, when the moon rises, I feel it inside me. The hunger, the pull. I don't know how long I can fight it, but if you're watching this, if you ever hear a howl outside your window, don't go looking, because maybe I survived that werewolf attack, but I don't think I survived what came after.